we're gonna do something a little different. In a recent video, I introduced a declassified CIA training manual on altered consciousness. This document not only discusses our potential as sentient beings, but it describes the universal design and our place in it. These are some of the questions that great minds have been pondering for ages, and the United States government has known all along. The document is 29 pages long, and it's really packed with esoteric concepts about consciousness. It will be linked again in the description for your convenience, so you can research deeper, but we're gonna cover it in depth over several videos. So let's see how this goes. The document was declassified by the CIA in 2003, attached to a cover letter from Army Intelligence Commander Wayne M. McDonnell, which documents that the document is the result of a task to assess the gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality. The gateway experience is a training system developed by the Monroe Institute that uses Hemisync audio technology to synchronize brainwaves being put out between the left and right hemispheres. This synchronization alters consciousness to achieve enhanced focus, out-of-body experiences, and transcendence of the limitations of time and space. About 25 years ago, I did a Hemisync meditation with the Monroe Institute. I have experienced an out-of-body experience, but it was with Native American drumming, not the Hemisync. I also can't really say I transcended time and space, but I can tell you that it was some of the most effective meditation I've ever done. It was in a theater seating with headphones, and I want to say it lasted about 40 minutes. Alright, let's get you set up with some links. So here's the thing. It looks like the Monroe Institute is currently offering programs, but, well, they can be pretty pricey. Unfortunately, it seems they don't sell audios anymore, at least not separately from the program. But don't worry, you can still buy Hemisyncs online. I'll make sure to include a link to some that you can find on Amazon. If you're aiming to elevate your meditation practice, I highly recommend trying out Hemisyncs. Trust me, you'll see why in this declassified document. Commander McDonnell mentioned in his cover letter that he needed to delve into various sources for information concerning quantum mechanics in order to be able to describe the nature and functioning of human consciousness. He also had to dive into theoretical physics to explain the character of the time-space dimension and the means by which expanded human consciousness transcends it. Time has just been flying by for me, and I've been wanting to research ways to slow it down, so exploring this document could be really beneficial. He kicked off the manual with fundamental biomedical factors related to hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation. He cautions that the physics of altered human consciousness involves some concepts that aren't easily grasped by our linear-thinking left brain. So, parts of the paper will need logic and a bit of right brain intuitive insight to fully understand the concepts involved. Did you catch that, folks? If we want to transcend, we're gonna have to start tapping into that creative right brain of ours. The commander also mentioned that the gateway experience doesn't contradict Eastern or Western belief systems. In this video, we're going to explore some basics of altered states achieved through hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation. This exploration will help us compare brain hemisphere synchronization, or Hemisync. Hypnosis is a technique that temporarily bypasses the brain's critical, analytical left hemisphere, allowing suggestions to reach the right hemisphere more directly. The left hemisphere usually filters incoming information by analyzing and judging it, while the right hemisphere is more holistic, nonverbal, and receptive. This is pretty fascinating because I'm definitely more right-brained. How about you? When the left hemisphere is distracted or relaxed into a semi-sleep state, its function as a filter weakens, and suggestions can pass through without much resistance. Once received by the right hemisphere, these suggestions can trigger real sensory, emotional, or physical responses by activating specific regions of the sensory and motor cortex or emotional pleasure centers. So, Hypnotic suggestions can produce sensations like numbness, emotional states such as calm or happiness, or even enhanced focus and memory by tapping into mental capacities usually held in reserve under normal conscious control. I can share with you that while in college I practiced self-hypnosis, which is absolutely what got me through pharmacy school. It's a long story that I have to share with you someday, but I basically blew off college for a year and had to come back from a 0.5 GPA after 2 semesters. Through self-hypnosis, I finished on the dean's list. This was when I realized the productive power of altered states. The next technique discussed was Transcendental meditation, which was described as working through sustained, focused attention that draws energy up the spinal cord, eventually producing sound-like waves within the fluid-filled cavities of the brain, which are known as the cerebral ventricles. These aren't on the surface, but deep inside the brain. These ventricles are filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which cushions the brain, removes waste, and helps regulate pressure. According to Bentov's biomedical model, these waves arise from altered heart rhythms during deep meditation and stimulate the right side of the brain, activating sensory pathways associated with bodily sensations and pleasure. This explains experiences of bliss and heightened awareness, often linked to Kundalini activation, which appears to develop primarily in the right hemisphere. While this state typically requires years of disciplined meditation to achieve, Bentov suggests that prolonged exposure to low-frequency mechanical or acoustic vibrations of around 4 to 7 Hz may produce similar effects in sensitive individuals, potentially triggering spontaneous Kundalini-like experiences. So, are you with me? The right brain appears to be pivotal to crossing what we'll call the gateway to higher consciousness. The third method discussed is biofeedback, which is a method that I've never tried. Biofeedback is described as a consciousness-altering method that uses the logical left brain, rather than suppressing it, to deliberately access and influence the right brain's sensory, motor, emotional, and pain-pleasure centers. So that's interesting. The left and right seem to work together, which seems most like Hemisync. In biofeedback, one visualizes a desired outcome using real-time feedback from monitoring devices, like thermometers or brainwave displays. The left brain learns to recognize when it has successfully activated specific right brain pathways. With repetition, these pathways strengthen, allowing conscious on-demand control over functions such as the circulation, pain reduction, healing responses, emotional states, and deep relaxation. Biofeedback can also accelerate meditative states, especially for beginners, by providing objective confirmation of progress and training the mind to enter focused, deeply relaxed states easier. It's important for beginners to have realistic expectations. Expect a relaxation, not an LSD trip from your meditative state. Okay, so let's compare that now to Hemisync. The Monroe Gateway Experience is a structured training system designed to synchronize the left and right brain hemispheres, so their brainwaves match in frequency and amplitude. This state is known as Hemisync, which alters consciousness beyond ordinary physical awareness and opens access to intuitive levels of knowledge. Unlike traditional meditation, it uses specialized audio techniques developed by Bob Monroe to reliably induce and sustain this hemispheric synchronization, which is a balance that's normally rare and brief. Research cited by the Monroe Institute shows that experienced meditators can achieve Hemisync without the use of external audio. The audio system helps focus brain energy into increasingly narrow frequency bands, similar to deep yogic concentration. As participants progress in the program, measurable increases in brainwave power occur, suggesting heightened coherence, focus, and energetic intensity of consciousness. Hemisync acts like a laser, channeling energy into a beam of extraordinary intensity and focus. The gateway process builds on this by gradually increasing both the frequency and amplitude of these synchronized brainwaves, elevating the mind to ever higher vibrational states. At these refined levels, the mind can tune itself to subtler energies in the universe, receiving information through the same inner workings it uses to interpret everyday sensory information. This higher knowledge typically presents as vivid symbols, sudden intuitive insights, or even complete visions combining sights and sounds. Now I want to make it clear that you can cross the gateway without the Monroe program. And Hemisync isn't necessary. It's just one path to facilitate higher states, but such experiences often occur naturally or through other methods without requiring explicit synchronization. So I think I'm going to see if I still have a couple of Hemisync CDs, or at least use the inductions that are free on the Monroe website. These seem to be very basic inductions, but you get the frequencies for 30 minutes to relax to. So, Hemisync is a useful way to begin developing higher consciousness to get the most out of the energy healing of the Medbeds when the time arrives. I'll leave some links to CDs you can buy on Amazon for specific effects. I'll also link a page on the Monroe Institute site where you can try a basic induction. Give it a try, guys, but if you do, remember to wear headphones, preferably not wireless, for maximum effect. Like I said, the Monroe Gateway experience that I had was the most effective I've had. The next video will be about frequency following response, a phenomenon used to achieve synchronization. And it's wild, guys, almost like the brain has a mind of its own. Every one of us is an astonishing and utterly unique creation, a singular expression of the infinite source that pulses through all existence. From the precise spiral of your DNA to the irreplaceable pattern of your thoughts, emotions, and experiences, no one else has ever existed, nor will ever exist again, quite like you. You carry within you the same spark that ignites stars and breathes life into galaxies. You are a bridge between the eternal void and the vibrant, ever-evolving cosmos. In a potentially infinite universe, still you remain a unique yet extremely connected being. I hope this has helped you understand the properties of human consciousness that affect our healing. This potential is exactly what the Dark Ones don't want you to realize exists within you. Stay tuned for more scrutiny of this government document and the science behind the off-world medbeds and all energy healing. It's not science fiction, guys, it's physics.